Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a literal, invisible organ inside you, one that completely dictates your survival. We're talking about the human immune system. We absolutely couldn't survive without it, right? Yet it's this incredibly complex mechanism that's honestly super hard to pin down.
So let's start with the ultimate, really provocative question that is driving modern immunology right now. Could our immune systems actually be a miracle weapon? Like a weapon capable of curing cancer? It's a huge thought. But to answer that, we've got to take a step back and figure out what this system actually is and, how it functions day to day.
Okay, here is the absolutely crucial point. This defense mechanism doesn't have a single headquarters or location. If I asked you to point to it on your body, you literally couldn't. It's this powerful, everywhere, all-at-once militia distributed throughout your entire body. And look, while it is insanely effective at fighting off pathogens, it's also surprisingly fragile. If it gets confused or overstimulated, it can just as easily turn those mighty weapons right back against our own healthy cells.
Section 1, the body's invisible militia, and the two pillars of defense. Let's look at how this militia is broken down into two distinct, highly specialized branches. Think of your innate immune system as your immediate, blunt force first responder. It reacts within minutes, it uses weapons like macrophages to just devour intruders, and it requires zero prior training, just boom, attack. But if the enemy is too strong, well, that's when the adaptive immune system kicks in. These are your targeted, highly intelligent special forces. They rely on T cells and B cells that are born in your bone marrow. They mount a super precise attack, and the best part, they remember past threats. That's actually the exact biological mechanism that vaccines rely on. Section 2, building immunity from birth, training the militia. Because just like elite athletes, these adaptive immune cells need constant practice, starting from the literal second we are born. You see, infants are born with maternal antibodies that offer this great temporary protection. But when those fade, usually around 3 to 6 months, the child's own naive T cells have to step up. They have to aggressively build memory through real-world exposure. And this transition period is absolutely critical. Take 8-year-old Eliel, for example. He was born with Bruton's disease, which is a genetic defect meaning he produces zero B cells. For his first 6 months, he was totally fine, thanks to his mom's antibodies. But the second they faded, he started getting serious infections. Now he requires regular antibody infusions just to live a normal life, playing football and doing judo. For the rest of us, early exposure is literally everything. Babies born via a natural vaginal birth are immediately colonized with vital vaginal and intestinal flora, totally different from the sterile environment of a C-section. And breastfeeding equips them even further. You simply can't just shield kids from every little germ out there. In fact, the COVID-19 pandemic proved that excessive isolation, while totally necessary at the time, creates a massive immunity debt. When the masks finally came off, children's hospitals filled up so fast because several years' worth of kids had bypassed their initial, essential encounters with everyday respiratory viruses like RSV and the flu. So, that brings us to a bit of a puzzle. If these specialized cells are constantly patrolling all around our bodies, where is their main headquarters? Where does the bulk of this training actually happen? Prepare to be surprised here. A staggering 70% of all your immune cells reside right in your intestines. Yeah, making your gut the absolute command center for your body's defenses. Section 3, the gut ecosystem, a microscopic neighborhood. Let's see how this builds into an entire microscopic society living right inside your stomach.
I love this analogy from immunologist Gerard Eberl at the Pasteur Institute. It's like a tiny city in there. You've got your professors, your bricklayers, your hospital workers. Your intestine houses 300 to 400 different types of bacteria, and they are in constant dialogue with our immune cells, basically teaching them how to distinguish between friend and foe. And if one element of that microbiome gets a little too greedy and tries to take over, the immune system steps right in to neutralize it and keep the peace. And guess what? What you eat directly fuels or destroys this local militia. It's all about the food. A diet rich in fiber, wild broccoli packed with vitamin C, legumes, and red berries, that actively feeds your good bacteria. It is a completely different story when you eat sugar, highly processed foods, and excess carbs. Those spike your insulin and create visceral belly fat. And that fat actively triggers chronic, exhausting inflammation. Your immune system is literally forced to constantly fight this internal fire because your intestinal barrier gets compromised, and it totally distracts your body from fighting actual external threats. So, beyond what we're putting on our plates, we really have to ask, how do the other ways we live our lives impact these invisible protectors as we get older? Which brings us to Section 4. Exercise, stress, and aging, maintaining the defenses. This is where physical activity and your mental state become literal matters of biological life and death.
It's a fact of life. As we age, our immune systems naturally weaken. But the speed of that decline, that is largely up to you. Take Uwe Dombach. He's 64, a participant in a sports science study who cycles and does karate every week. His blood work was wild. It showed he had the naive T cells and low inflammation levels of someone decades younger. Regular exercise keeps your T cell repertoire highly effective, whereas sitting around with a sedentary lifestyle, that just accelerates immune decay.
Now here is a truly shocking discovery regarding stress. Cardiologist Dr. Wolfram Poller in New York found that acute, intense stress fundamentally alters your immune response. When you're super stressed, your body pumps out those blunt force innate neutrophils, getting ready for fight or flight. But terrifyingly, your intelligent, adaptive T and B cells literally hide. They retreat right back into your bone marrow. This means chronic stress directly cripples your ability to fight off viral infections like the flu or COVID, and it even prevents your body from developing a strong response to vaccines. Crazy, right? Section 5. When defenses turn dangerous, the autoimmune threat. Because what happens when our perfectly trained, highly capable local militia goes rogue and turns its weapons on us? We actually see a fascinating biological duality here when looking at men versus women. Epidemiologically, men are much more susceptible to severe infectious diseases. Women, on the other hand, possess statistically stronger immune systems. Why? Well, it's because crucial immune genes sit on the X chromosome, and women have a double dose of them. But here's the catch. This exact strength makes them far more vulnerable to autoimmune misfires. That's where the immune system gets confused and attacks the skin, joints, or organs, leading to vastly higher rates of conditions like lupus and rheumatoid arthritis in women. And sadly, autoimmune diseases are on the rise across the board, currently affecting around 10% of the population. Now, our genetics haven't fundamentally changed in such a short time, right? So experts point to shifts in our environmental factors. We're talking chemical pollutants, impoverished microbiomes, and chronic viral infections, like cytomegalovirus or CMV, which is a herpes virus present in half of Europe's population. These are the culprits acting as triggers, basically tricking our immune systems into attaching our own bodies. Section 6. The future of cancer. Reprogramming the militia. If our immune system is really this powerful, can we leverage its biological memory to fight our ultimate enemy, cancer? I think cancer immunologist Dirk Yeager perfectly sets the stage here. He talks about the dream of targeted therapies. Look, every single day, hundreds of tumor cells are created in our bodies, and our healthy immune systems just quietly destroy them. We don't even know what's happening. Cancer only really develops when these malignant cells manage to put on an invisibility cloak and slip past our defenses. So instead of using toxic chemotherapy or radiotherapy that bluntly destroys healthy and diseased tissue alike, researchers are attempting to reprogram our adaptive immune system. They want to train our T cells to spot and kill those invisible tumor cells while leaving the rest of the body completely safe. And this is building into an actual, personalized process currently in experimental trials. First, scientists analyze the totally unique, heterogeneous mishmash of a patient-specific tumor. They modify elements of it to create a custom, personalized peptide vaccine. Once they give the patient the vaccine, they isolate the few T cells that successfully respond to it using a biopsy. Then, and this is the incredible sci-fi part, they take those specific victorious T cells, multiply them by the millions in a machine, and infuse that massive, highly trained army right back into the patient. The goal? Hunt down the cancer and prevent any future relapses. We've seen today just how much control we actually have over this invisible organ. By eating plenty of fiber to respect our gut microbiome, engaging in regular exercise to keep our cells young, and managing our stress so our adaptive cells don't hide away in our bone marrow, we give our bodies a real fighting chance. And as medical science finally learns to unlock and harness the full reprogrammable power of our T cells to beat cancer, we're left with a pretty thrilling thought. As we master our own immune systems, what other incurable diseases are about to become a thing of the past?